Hello and welcome to Miss Checkpoints, the Video Game Book Club podcast. It is January 2nd, 2022. We made it. We're a little late on this, but we are going to knock out the December game, the last game of 2021. This is my game, Thumper. I'm your host, Marqus, and joining me today, as always, are the homies. First up, we have Greg.
What's going on? Happy New Year's, everyone.
Happy New Year's. And last but not least, we have the homie Dante.
New year, new me.
As you may realize, we are missing someone, Trevor. Today, he had his second kid born today, his second daughter. So he was not able to join us. And I think he said he's going to take a break too, dealing with just getting, adjusted to having a second kid, in his life, in his house. So we are going to hold down the fort without him. We might have some recurring or some new guests in the meantime, but it'll just be the three of us for the time being. So if you're homies with Trevor or anything, just reach out and just I guess shoot some congratulations his way, because like I said, he just had his second daughter born today, so we're very happy for him. But you're not here for that. You're here for this this game, Thumper, and this is my game for the month of December. So I will kick us off. Thumper is a rhythm game developed and published by Drool. Drool is a two-man collaboration consisting of Mark Fleury, the programmer of the game, and Brian Gibson, the bassist for Lightning Bolt, who composed the music and created the artwork for the game. As far as I could tell, this was their first and only game, though Fleury is a co-organizer for monthly Seoul Indie Meetups and Busan Indie Connect, Korea's indie game festival, and Gibson has worked on as an artist for Amplitude, Guitar Hero, and Rock Band. The game runs on a proprietary engine of Fleury's design and has been ported to many platforms, including VR support. The game was praised for its rejection of the object-oriented programming paradigm in favor of a procedural programming approach. Much of the game's code was organized via a small handful of large files, some of which reached 6,000 lines of C++ code. The object of Thumper is to guide a beetle-like creature in third person. What's up, Dante?
I was going to say I would fire this man immediately. Just
because of the way he developed the game?
Yeah, that sounds like you don't want to do that. That's bad to have multi-thousand lines of... Generally speaking, there's some situations where you want that, but yeah, I'm not an expert programmer, but that you would fail every single interview.
There was a reason why. Let me see if I can. I'll keep going, but there was a reason why, because I looked into it, because I knew that was going to be something that would have maybe rustled your jimmies. And I was just curious why, but I didn't dig too deep into it. It's been a while. Like I said, it's been a while since I had played this game. A couple weeks, because I beat it pretty early, so I hadn't really thought about this game. Not in a bad way, though. But anyways, the objective of Thumper is to guide a beetle-like creature in third person along a single or multi-lane track through a series of unnerving worlds at extremely fast speeds. The player must press a button to hit highlighted notes on the track in time with the background music, which corresponds to a time signature related to the level number. It goes from a quarter time or 1/4 time signature all the way up to a 9/8 time signature. The player must hit these notes on beat with the music while also bracing against obstacles, turning against curved walls, jumping over spikes, and defeating enemies. Each level is broken into segments, and after each segment, the player is given a score and rating showing how well they did. The beetle can take one hit, a misturn, or crashing into an object, and at certain places it regains its shield if it is lost. However, if it takes a second hit without its shield in place, the beetle is destroyed and the segment starts over again. The player can repeat the segment as many times as necessary to beat the level. Thumper was originally shown at the Experimental Game Workshop during the 2015 Game Developers Conference. It was released in October 2016 on Windows and PS4 with optional VR support for Oculus, HTC Vive, and PlayStation VR. It was later released on Switch and Xbox One in 2017, iOS and Oculus Go in 2018, and Android, Oculus Quest, and Stadia in 2019. And that is my intro. what did you guys? Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say I couldn't imagine playing this game in VR.
I really want to. I read a couple of reviews, and they actually spoke about the VR, and one of the main things is there's like a lack of, I think they said, visual variation to distinguish levels from each other, and I think they said there was a couple of times where the background, let's see, what did it say? It kind of disappears in the distance. So it kind of takes you out of the experience if you're looking at the scenes, kind of.
As the resident VR expert on the panel, I have played this on I have played this on VR like maybe 2-3 years ago.
Oh, how was it?
So I was messing around with my friend's PSVR, and I convinced him to download the game just because I had heard so much about it. And I played it, and it seemed cool at the time, but it was just like the demo, so I guess like 1.1 to maybe like 1.10 or whatever it was. And it seemed cool enough, but I don't know. I feel like I would have had to got further into the experience to really say
have
if
a
it was
true feelings about it.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Well, what did you guys end up playing this on? So I played this on PC.
Same, yeah. I played on PC.
PC.
And I'm assuming you all use Gamepad as well?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I chose this game. One, this has been a game that I've been interested in playing for a long time, actually. When I first heard about it, it was through Bombcast. I think it was Alex Navarro was a huge fan of this game, and I think I'm coming to realize that him and I have very similar taste in games. I found that out in January for our next game. But I knew. Do you guys still listen to the what's their new podcast?
Nextlander?
Yeah. Did you guys listen to the Game of the Year stuff?
Yeah, they actually brought up Thumper.
Yeah, exactly. So I was listening to it this past week, and what they kind of did is they were like, we want to talk about our experience, talking about games and Game of the Year stuff, and they talked about previous years, their top tens and everything, and he brought up Thumper as one of his games and was talking about it and everything, and hearing him talk about it, and he's like, this is still a game that I visit. This game has been out for 5 years at this point, and he said it's still a game that I regularly visit. And he also said something along the lines of he thinks this is the best music game he's ever played, and I think I'm kind of close to that. I don't think it's the best music game, but I wanted to play a music game, so this was like something that I wanted you guys to play too. And so I'm glad we got it on, and that was basically I just wanted us to play. I feel like this year we have been playing a couple of music games between Ape Out to an extent and No Straight Roads and Cadence of Hyrule. So we've had a couple of music games, but I felt like this is the most traditional in a weird sense. Do you think so, Dante? Where you kind of have a note highway.
I'll allow it.
Okay. That's the kind of what my thought process is. I wanted to play something that was a little bit more of a traditional music game. And then also whenever I looked at screenshots of this game and just I remember him saying that the music in this game, it ripped or however he says it. But I always thought the screenshots were very striking and kind of reminded me of so I never played Panzer Dragoon, but it reminded me kind of the artwork of how that game looks, the creatures. And then the game that I always played that I loved growing up was Biohazard Battle on Sega. And I really thought the creatures in that game made me think of, or the creatures in this game made me think of that game, and that was one of my favorite games to play when I was growing up. So yeah, it was. Just
so you were a Resident Evil fan?
No, Biohazard Battle. No, we're not doing this. But yeah, so it was just kind of like kind of scratching some nostalgia itches for me personally. But I'm glad you guys played along and allowed me to do this. So do you guys have you guys had any experience playing this game before? I know you touched on playing it in VR, but did you play it after that, Dante, or was this your first time like actually playing the game?
No, this was my first time actually playing the game this time.
Gotcha. And what about you, Greg?
I just heard them talk about it on the Bombcast.
Cool. So this is one of those rare games that everybody kind of went in this sight unseen or with little experience to it, so I can take it. So let's get into it. So the game, it starts off. It's like you get just a brief tutorial, and it kind of just explains like, okay, here's how you're activate a note, I guess you could say. Here's how you, what is it? Grind the walls or avoid hitting the walls. You're basically, you're a beetle, like I said before. You're going down a highway, and it's a very like horror, like alien, like how would you describe the aesthetic of this game? It's very like surreal.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say futuristic, but I guess that's not even like describing it. I guess it kind of gives you future slash maybe.
It's not neon, but what color palette or texture would you link to the game, Marcus?
So it's, I know you said color palette, but like color wise, it's like silver and reds and purples and blues. It's like, it's very futuristic kind of color scheme. I feel like,
but it's also super dark. That's the thing.
Yeah. It's like there's a lot of like gross, like kind of horror kind of elements in this. There's like tentacles and like appendages, like insect style appendages and like spikes, and everything is very like sharp and jagged and looks like dangerous. There's nothing about this that is like, oh, that looks safe and cuddly and I want to touch that. Like everything looks like it would hurt. And then you couple that with you're like a scarab beetle or just some type of beetle that's going at absurd speeds down a note highway, and like it, when I first played this game, it gave me the sensation, especially like right when you get up to a boss where you're like going up a roller coaster, and you're like, when you strap into a roller coaster and then it takes off and then you just go up the long, slow descent or ascent up to the top, and then it goes, when it goes over, that's what this game feels like all the time. And when you hit the turns, it's like damn near like when you're in a roller coaster and your body is just like just slamming into like that's how I felt playing this game, where like I was like really into it. And I also really, really like appreciated the name of the game, Thumper, because like it goes. It goes. It just has like a ridiculous sense of speed and everything, like the look of the game, and then just the music of the game, I feel like accentuates that, and like it all feels seamless personally. What do you guys think of like the look and feel of the game? I'll start with you, Greg.
I liked it. I think the first few levels I feel like are pretty good, and I like how as you bring that add onto it, the further you get into the game, like that's when it gets crazy as far as like speed at which like you gotta clean different obstacles. But yeah, first impressions. I really.
What about you, Dante?
I thought it was pretty good overall, but somewhat repetitive, I guess, would be my.
Okay, I can see that. So, kind of going back a little bit. So the game kind of starts off, and it just is a nice introduction, and just kind of explains like, here's how you hit a note, and it's super simple. It's super like easy to follow along, and then you're in it, and then you're in the game. And the way the levels are set up is you play like level 1, and it has it like, think of like Mario, how you're playing 1-1, 1-2, 1-3. So they call it, I don't know why they call it level 1, but technically I guess you could say it's world 1 or whatever. But each level has multiple segments, and each of them are labeled, 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, or whatever, all the way up to how many ever. Usually I would say most worlds have, or most levels have at least 20, 15 to 20 segments. Some are much longer, some are short, around that length. And it's just little segments or chunks of the level. And it's really cool because it's very seamless. You can go from one world, as soon as you beat it, you get your score, and as soon as the score goes away, bam, you're in the next level. So it's like there's no like loading or anything. It's just constantly going. So it does make it feel like it's just like almost like a roller coaster, almost, personally. And then a cool thing that they allow is that for you, and this is at the end, so you get your ranking on a level. So I hate rankings, as I've mentioned before, but you get like C, B, A, S, and I was, because it's me, I was going for S ranks. So they have an easy way for you to quick restart a level if you so wish to, or if you mess up, or took a hit or whatever, you can restart. But it's very much like a music game where you're keeping a combo. They have perfect turns, so like when you're heading towards a wall, I guess technically the way the game is set up is that you shield to hit a note, you hit a button, the X button or whatever button to hit a note, and to turn you hit that same button, and you just hit the direction that the turn is, the left or right. So you can always hit the button. You can hit the shield button as soon as you, or as early as you want to. You don't have to time it or anything, but you get bonus points, or you get that perfect turn bonus for doing it on time at the right time. And I'm trying to think. Those were the first two things that they kind of teach you in the game, and then as the game progresses, they start adding on more and more things. So like they start introducing multiple lanes. So now instead of it being just one highway you're going down, you can shift left, right, and go across multiple lanes. They introduce jumping over spikes. They introduce rings that you can hit for getting additional points. They introduce like little roadblocks that you have to shield up, so then that way you can destroy them, or you can get past them. So they start like stacking things on. And so I feel like at the very beginning of the game, it's just kind of layering and getting you acclimated to the game. So the first world is just like, okay, it's just teaching you the basics. The second world, they introduce jumping. The third world, they introduce like when you jump, and if you press down, like to jump, you hit up, and then you can hold the jump button and you stay up in the air, and then you can hit down on a new note, and then it does a slam attack which shoots like a projectile out. And so they introduced that. The fourth world adds the lane changes. Fifth world adds these insta kill rings. So they just keep adding things on. I think up until the sixth world, from the 6 on 6, 7, 8, they just, everything is added together. Everything has come together, and now it's just ratcheting up the tension and speeding it up and speeding it up and speeding it up. So I rambled. I'm sorry. But I really, really, really liked how they got you used to a certain gameplay mechanic in one world, and they only introduce one, and then this, like you get used to that, then they start adding on the second one in the second world. I wish that there wasn't so many levels, so then that way you can kind of get to the things a little bit quicker, because I do agree with Dante that the game kind of ran a little bit long. but I really, really like how they introduced each of the gameplay elements or mechanics. How did you feel like? How did you like or dislike how they were introduced, Greg?
I think the way that they I thought that was fine. Uh, I would probably say yeah, like you're saying, it's just the amount of levels because it can kind of get a little monotonous. And the other thing too is I feel like there's not enough variation. I don't know. Maybe what I'm asking for is probably not the game, but like as far as like the music, I mean, there's like a little bit of variation because of like how fast it goes, and then obstacles you go.
So you basically saying like you enjoy the gameplay parts, but it's the music that kind of got monotonous for you.
I guess I'm thinking that when I think of music games, obviously like I'm thinking of like a more traditional experience than like rhythm games. I guess that's not that type of experience.
Yeah. What about you, Dante, with the gameplay elements?
Greg, I thought I was going to be the only one. I really did. Oh.
It's not like
every track sounds the exact same.
Okay. Yes. Basically, the way the game is set up is you have this like industrial kind of drumming going on in the background. It's like these dramatic kind of like war drums and like industrial noise and like some wailings, and then the things that you're doing, the hitting the notepads, the hitting the turns, the hitting the rings, the hitting the road bumps, everything that you're doing is creating the additional elements, the tinks and the clinks and the clunks and all these other things. So like you are the one that essentially is like adding the flavor to the music. The issue is that I feel like, because I agree with you guys, I think the issue that the three of us have is that I could listen to track 1-1, track 1-8, track 3-8, track 4-8, 5, and like they all sound the same because the background, like the only thing that changes, as far as I could tell, was the time signature. So like I said, like the amount of things going on speeds up, so like the music gets sped up, but like it still sounds the same. It has the same elements, has the same sound effects, and so it does get a very monotonous. I think this is definitely like one of those. When you said that you played like the demo, Dante, I feel like this is the type of game that you show a friend, because I was thinking about this. Like I would show a friend this and say, this game is really cool, but this is not one of those games where I feel like you should like just sit down and try to knock it out in an afternoon or even in a week. I feel like this is a game where you like maybe play for like an hour, maybe come back in a week.
I agree with that, but at the same time, the way things ramp up in this game, I don't know. Like, it's almost not viable in some way. Like, I guess I'll do my full disclosure. This is the first game I've been on a podcast for that I have not completed.
What? What? How far did you get?
I think I got to World 5 or 6, and
just the drive was not there.
It was not there. Not with this one.
Okay. I mean, that's... No, it doesn't.
It also, like... It really isn't normally, but... I don't know if I was playing it wrong, but... It was hard for me to progress, I'm not gonna lie. It was like... I've played a lot of difficult games, and... I mean, I could have just kept slogging through every single level by level, but I was tired of, like, retrying every single level, like, 2 times just to get through it.
What were you having issues with?
I guess the game. I don't know what to say. Like,
what I'm trying to ask is like, was there a specific mechanic or element that you were having issues with?
I did feel like I was playing it wrong sometimes, to be honest, because some of the things, like, when you're... Okay, here's a specific example. You're making a left turn or whatever, and then immediately you have one of those blue hoops.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I could not figure out for the life of me how to connect those. Even, like, I would redo the level, like, 7 times. I'm like, I know I need to hit up immediately after this turn, but there is no amount of speed I can hit up to actually get the bug to go in the air and actually hit the thing. And then my other... I don't want to get into critiques just yet. We'll wait for that, but...
Okay. So I don't know exactly the part you're talking about, but there are hoops and things, and those aren't necessary to hit in order to get... I don't think you were going for 100%. I think you were just trying to beat the level, but those hoops aren't necessary for you. Like, they just add to your score. But
if you don't get them, they're going to break your combo. And if you break your combo, you're not...
Sure. So the thing that I ran into, the issue I ran into is like, I would be hitting a series of hoops, hit a turn, and then my bug would hit the ground, and I would miss all the next batch of hoops. And I couldn't for the life of me figure out how to stay in the air. I Googled how to do it, and you have to hit a perfect turn. And so there is a hidden level of depth to this game that I had to seek out, because I was like, I am feeling this game, and I'll be full disclosure, I S-ranked this entire game. So like I was in it for this game. I thoroughly enjoyed this game. I do like have critiques about it, but that was something that I really, really like, because I feel like this is one of those games that you get out what you put in. So very much like fighting games, not saying this is a fighting game, but like if you put the time into like improve and like kind of figure out the intricacies of the game, then you will do better you will be a better player at this game. And so like that was one of the things. There was another section too where I was like, there was one level, I think it was like 9-3 or 9-8, that was like notorious that people were having, or excuse me, 8-3 or 8-9, that people said it was like notorious for being a difficult level where you had to like perfectly hit everything. And it was like there were a lot of levels where like I restarted, not because I was having difficulty with the level, but because I was missing something and it was ruining my score. And then because I went in thinking like, oh, the only way to S rank a level is to hit everything, but that's not the case. So like there was many times where I broke a combo, but because I missed a hoop or whatever, and I still was able to S rank it because of the multiplier I had. 80% of the level, got me a high enough score or whatever. So that's why I was asking you, Dante, because I was like, are you restarting because of rank reasons or because there was a specific thing that you were having difficulty with? Because like the hoop things, you can miss hella hoops and still S rank levels, and like it doesn't sound like that's what you were trying to do, is S rank. So
I was trying to S rank, it didn't happen. Like World 5, I think I almost got a C on every single thing.
Oh, the insta-kill rings?
Well, the insta-kill, they weren't even those. I was just talking about like the fly rings where you have to hit up.
Gotcha.
Off of like an immediate turn.
I think we talk about this every now and then, but I would really, really, really love to watch you play this game, and vice versa. Like, if you're down to, we should hit the sticks after this episode, because I'm really interested to see like what you're having to, because I don't think this game is like it's not hard to like. Like that's the thing is like I'm like Dante is having issues, like I just want to see what it is particularly, because it doesn't sound like you were dying, it just sounds like you weren't getting as high.
No, I was super dying. Like that's kind of why I quit. I just like I don't want to do each one of these levels 3 times. And when I say level, I mean like
segment.
Yeah, like it literally took me like an hour and a half probably to get through level 5 just because I kept dying.
I died a lot too, but I had to just grind through it. Like eventually, like if I got to a spot where I was just stuck and like I just kept dying, I would just be like, all right, I'm turning this off. Yeah, like I don't remember where it really got hard for me, but it had to be like around like somewhere around there. It was like I'll just hit a specific sequence and I'm dying.
I think I think that happens because I remember like messaging you guys when I was playing, and I was like, I S ranked the first 2 levels, and then I S ranked the 3rd level, and then I was like, oh, like this game is, I'm gonna S rank this whole game. I got to the 4th one, and I remember messaging you guys. I was like, Yo, it took me 2.5 hours to just like I've played this game for 4 hours or something like that, 3 hours. I beat the first 3 worlds. It took me 2.5 hours just to do the fourth one. I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna S rank this game. And then from then on, I just went through the game and just tried to do as best I could. And then I think I saw something that said like the only way to S rank a level is to S rank the entire, like all the segments to the level. And it's not like you can just be like, okay, well, I beat level 1 and I beat all 28 segments. Oh, I didn't S rank, segment 21. Let me just replay that one. No, you have to like redo the entire game over again. So like I played this game like 1.5 times. And so I got like very like into like doing what you had to do in this game. And I didn't realize that you could, one of the things I didn't realize is you could like leave. Like I the way I had been playing was like, oh, I'm playing this level. I got to beat this level before I like get out of this game.
Oh no.
I didn't know that you could like so like when I was in it because it's like, okay, if I'm starting up level 4, I need to beat all 25 segments or not turn off my PC if I have to go somewhere. And so like I was like sitting there at some points, an hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, like
it's crazy.
I have to beat this thing. So like and then when I found out you could leave, I was like, oh, this is easy. So, yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so, like, I love difficult games. I love challenging games. I love music games. I've beaten Through the Fire and the Flames on Expert, which is one of those things that, like,
but
not a lot of people...
it, though?
I did not 100% Through the Fire and the Flames.
Same.
I got through it twice.
I never got through it, so you got me beat.
But... okay, I guess we're going to go into it. So, I do not like this as a music game. Like, I did not feel any tie to the music, specifically because of this reason, and I've been thinking about it a lot. So, you hear the things that are being placed on the track in front of you, and it kind of, depending on the noise, you kind of know what's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
But you're hearing that seconds before it actually comes into play. So when you're actually doing it, it's not really synced with the actual music itself.
It's almost like it's like not a lag, but it's like a you don't feel like you're the person making the sounds.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm the person making the sounds or it's tied to the sounds. For me, I almost felt like I'd be better off playing it without music in some ways. But the other thing is, not only is there that delay that you're accounting for, so it's here, like I hear the doot doot doot, so I know I'm going to have to hold A for 3, and then I'm going to hear the slide noise, so I know I'm going to have to hold left or hold right. But as I'm actually executing those button presses, more musical cues are coming in. And maybe it's something with my brain where I can't asynchronize myself or what, but like I did not enjoy that at all.
It sounds like you were listening to the audio prompts and not the audio cue or the visual cues.
I mean, the visual cues are too fast and the game is too fast to like really register that stuff in my opinion. So like when I was trying to figure out like you'd have some of those left turns, you'd have some of those right turns, but literally there would be situations where they put 2 of them back to back, and I'm like, literally, how am I supposed to react to this without knowing?
Are you talking about, like, for the turns in particular, or, like...
Yeah, like, some of the turns, like, there was one where it'd be, like, left, right, then AAA, and I'm like, okay, how was I supposed to know about that second turn, aside from, like, I guess they made the slide noise, or whatever you want to call it, but, like, visually, there is no way I could have known that was coming up.
So you can see it sometimes. I mean,
you can see it sometimes, but it gets really fast, and like maybe my reaction times aren't as good as I think they are. But
I agree with you. I think I saw. So I didn't. I'm a visual person. I'm not an audio person. So when I think back to my time playing this game, the things that I think about is every time I hit a hoop. and every time I hit a perfect turn, there's a specific audio cue that happens. And so like for me, when I was playing, that's what I was listening for as the feedback that I did the thing that I needed to do perfectly, or like it's like, so that's what I was listening to. I wasn't listening to the audio cues to let me know what was coming up. There was something that I read somewhere, and I'm trying to find it because I know I saw this online, but there's along the highway there is like a neon blue like lights, or it's like lights, and I think I read somewhere that when things are coming up, the lights, there's some visual like cue, like a color happens that tells you, oh, this is going to be a turn versus something else. But I cannot find that comment, so I'm wondering if it was just somebody making stuff up or not. But I thought that was a thing. But yeah, like I never focused on the audio of this thing is about to happen. I was definitely trying to take all the visual cues. So like when you were talking about things happening so fast, I agree to an extent, but I felt that the harshest when you were in tunnel levels, when you literally like your field of vision was already cut down. So like
that's specifically what I was talking about, where they'd have like the left and rights in the tunnel, and it's just
where,
sometimes they'd come like right back to back, and I'm like, how would I know?
How the hell?
I think the visual cue for like the tunnel turns is like you'll see it slightly veer off, and then like you only have to hit the direction once you get into like where the turn goes almost.
Yeah. But it's the ones where it's like you do a sharp right, a sharp left immediately after getting out of the right hand, like where it's just like
immediately back to back.
Yeah, like there was a couple of levels. Like I would say, Dante, later on there is some levels where you're doing like left, right, like, and it's in a tunnel and it's just back to back to back to back. And like those ones, like there was a comment that how like I am and I read Metacritic reviews and everything, and there was something that somebody had said along the lines of like, this game, it felt less like a music game and more like a memorization game. And I think that was a valid critique of this game. I think depending on how you are when you play this game, I feel like for me, I was trying to take the audio cues to the best of my ability. But I will say that there are, like sometimes where it's just like, I literally had to tell myself, okay, it's right, left, or, something like that. Cause I restarted this level like 4 times and I had to I kept missing this last part. And so there's a couple times, even like when bosses, and this was mostly me when I was trying to S rank things. It was less when I was like trying to beat things. But I did agree with that critique that this game required some memorization and less about like being reactive, because things happen so quickly that you don't really, it's unrealistic to expect everybody to be able to react to the window they give you.
So I do have a question. Did you guys use analog stick or D-pad?
D-pad.
Because I kept shifting between the two, and I'm like, there's probably an ideal one, but I just don't know which one it is. Because I feel like when I used the D-pad, I could never hit I don't know if it was the turns or the ups, and then the other one was the opposite way around, where I could hit like one axis, but the other axis I kept messing up.
The real question is, did you guys use bumpers or face buttons?
Face buttons.
Face buttons.
Bumpers. So yeah, I used I think it was like R1 for hitting, and then I used the D-pad, and I guess what you said, Greg, you used face buttons and the joystick, and Dante switched back and forth between D-pad and joystick and face buttons. I don't know, like I think I'm really interested to watch you play, Dante. I don't think it's not going to be like Sekiro where I'm going to be like, hey, just do this thing and it's going to make everything that makes sense. I'm just more so curious. Like I've been wanting to watch somebody play this game, and like if you're saying you're struggling, then I'm just interested to see like what exactly it is you're struggling with. But yeah, I dig it, man. I dig this game. It was very funny because like I read a lot of just like random people reviews on stuff, and there was some people that were so like such assholes about this game, and just like I'm gonna pull them up now. Where was
Like
it?
I don't dislike the game, but like listening to like how Alex Navarro was talking about it, like he made it sound like it was, you know, just like this.
He made it sound like a transcendental experience.
Yeah. And it was
Guys,
like,
guys.
it's a good game. Don't get me wrong, you know. But I'm like,
Were you guys in the right mindset to enjoy this game?
yeah,
Yeah.
No. But were you in the right mindset? Like, were you guys like vibing?
Like
were you guys, you know, like on?
Do I need shrooms for this? Is that what I'm not? Is
Can I tell you something?
Go ahead.
I played this game after eating an edible, and that's when it really hit. That's when it really hit. Like, I mean, I played the game initially. I did the first 2 levels, and it hooked me, and I was just like, "Yo, I'm enjoying this game." And it was like at that point, no shade. It was like it was easy the first 2 to me, and then like I think I played the third one, and I was just like, let me try this thing, and so I did, and I think I played for the most part the rest of the game that way, and yeah, man, it's just a different experience. Like the music still like is monotonous, but like I don't think you need to do anything in order to like get in the vibe of this game. I do think this is like what we kind of said earlier. I think it is one of those games where it's just like this is like you show this to somebody and they think it's cool and you convince them to buy it, and then they can enjoy it, but like maybe they only play like the first couple of levels and then they're just like, okay, that's enough of that game, and which is completely fine. I don't think that everybody has to like play this game to completion, because I don't think it's for everybody, but I do think it is something that everybody should experience, if that makes any sense, because it is definitely like unlike anything else that I've ever played in a good way.
I was about to say, looking at the Steam achievements, a lot of people didn't finish this game.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't think this game is forgiving. I think the Steam achievements are basically, I think there's 16 or something. It's like beat world 1 through 8, and then the others are beat or S rank worlds 1 through 8. So I think that's basically it for the achievements.
Yep.
I don't know. Like, I'm not going to be a negative Nancy. I'm not going to be that guy on Metacritic. But there was just so much that I don't even say I wanted from the game. I just, okay, checklist of things, and you can say if I'm whack or not for expecting. Like, I wanted a music game or like some type of rhythm game. I really didn't feel like that game provided it to me. And when Alex was talking about it on the Next Lander podcast, and he's like, this is the best music game or rhythm game of all time, I'm just like, man, I don't even know if I'd call this a rhythm game. And like,
so I don't disagree to an extent. Like I think it depends on what you want to get out of it. You know, like I feel like I play Rock Band and DJ Hero because I want to listen to these specific songs. And go ahead.
I was going to say that brings me to point number 2. With it being a music game, I expected at least some variety in the music, and that was also definitely not fulfilled by this game for me personally. Mm-hmm. So, and then I guess my third quote-unquote nail in the coffin for me was just everything kind of blended together, and like they do add mechanics in worlds 1 through 4, but it always felt like I was kind of doing the same thing, so I got bored with this game very early. Like, I'd say an hour and a half in, I was kind of like, I've seen everything, and I don't want to say I wasn't going to change my mind at that point, but there was no new mechanic or no variation that was doing anything to get the game out of that low point for me.
Gotcha. It's a really weird and fine line, because How Long to Beat has this game as an 8-hour game. And I, to an extent, I'm like, that's a perfectly reasonable amount of time. But also, like I felt like this game could have been shorter, more condensed. But it's weird because you're playing this game in condensed segments. So it's like, what exactly could have like, they just take out more levels, you think? Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like
Each world could have been half as long.
Yeah, like some of the worlds had like 20, like I don't want to say like 20,
Close to 30
levels.
Yeah.
yeah, I think for the most part they were between 18 and 30, 15 and 30 or something like that. And I agree, because it wasn't like, I would say the first five worlds were the first five levels are the ones where they added the different mechanics. Here's here's how you jump, here's how you shoot, here's lane changes, kill rings. I feel like maybe if they introduced them sooner, and then that way, because it feels like the last three worlds, it just speeds up. So they're not adding any new elements, they're just combining them in different ways. And so like that's the real meat and potatoes of the game, where it's like, here are all the things you can do, and we mashed them and we threw them all together. Now experience this going super fast. And like they could have kept that segment but kind of sped up how quickly you get to that point. I feel like would have been better. I also it's weird because I don't think the bosses and sub bosses in this game, like, I like them. They're visually interesting and it's cool, but like it doesn't. They feel like weird. I don't know. It feels like it kind of breaks up like the monotony of the game in one side, but it's also just kind of like they're not like the rest of the game at all. Because you're.
Oh, go ahead.
I was saying, so like the way you fight a sub boss and a boss is like, you just do like a section, or like a basically they take 4 hits and you have to do a section of a level, and you have to hit it 100% perfectly and hit the last note, which is a glowing green note that will do an attack on the boss. And you have to do that 4 times. And if you miss a note within a section, it whites out all the other notes and you have to redo the whole thing again. So you still get the practice and the reps in of like seeing what it is you have to do, but when you hit that last note, it's going to be white instead of green, so then you're not going to be able to do any damage. I wish there was either more parts of the game that were like that, or they did a better job of like implementing everything into a boss, because it felt like when you were playing the bosses on the it felt like they were like, here, like, oh, we taught you how to jump, so like this boss is just going to focus on jumping. And like it was just kind of like the whole world, the whole level is designed around teaching me this new mechanic, or making me, hammer home how to do this new mechanic. I don't think the boss needs to do that too. Like, let the boss do something different. Does that make sense?
Kinda, but I guess the only thing I would I think if they would have added more to that, they would have just like alienated people even more, I think.
Probably.
But I get where you're coming from though, because it would be nice if there was. I mean, essentially, when you get to a boss, you're literally just doing the same things you did before, but you just can't miss anything.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just like maybe that's the thing. Is like, instead of having a level to teach you the thing, have the sub boss teach you it, and then from there you have a couple levels where you fine tune it, then you have a boss, and then maybe that's how they could have sped up the game, or like gotten you to the end game quicker or something. Going back a little bit on one of your critiques too, Dante, when you were talking about the music, I think that this game is more of a like vibe, and like I said, I go to Rock Band, DJ Hero, and those type of games, Sayonara, Wild Hearts, to listen to the music and like experience the music. It's a little bit different with Sayonara Wild Hearts, because it is probably a little bit more like more like this game than I feel like the others are, I guess. But
would you listen to this in your car? Would you listen to this running on a treadmill?
Well, one, this game thumps. No, I wouldn't. And like that, it's a weird thing, because like I said, like I couldn't tell you the difference between level 1 music versus level 9 music, except for it's faster, because it all sounds the same. And but I still like the music. If that makes like, do you not like the music at all?
I personally do not.
It was fine for me. Like I wouldn't
Like,
say like I liked it that much, but like I guess the reason why I played like music and rhythm games is just kind of like the mechanics themselves, and then like good music is just kind of like the icing on top. I guess like I come to it for like, is there like good note charts, or is there like interesting mechanics? If I find songs I like, then I like them. But
yeah, I don't want to say I dislike it, but like what he's saying, like the music is the parts of the level being constructed. It feels like I guess there's that kind of, I don't say subliminal. What's the word I'm looking for? It's like a that background noise hum or whatever you want to call it, and then everything else is do 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 do. You know?
Yeah.
So, and that's the entire game from, at least from my experience playing 1 through 5. I think.
How is I'm not arguing. How is that any different than Ape Out?
Ape Out had some variety, I'd like to say.
It did. Like the background track was different, and they gave you, depending on the world, they gave you different sound effects, but it's the same thing. Like, I like the Ape Out music. I'm not gonna run to Ape Out. I'm not gonna listen to Ape Out in my car.
I feel like I would download the Ape Out soundtrack. I'm trying to think about like the variety between the different levels, and maybe that's like a big part of it. But the background music itself in Ape Out was good.
Yeah.
And then the like onomatopoeias, the sound effects on top of that added another layer to it. Whereas here, I feel like the background music part is almost, I would say non-existent, but it just didn't do much for me.
Yeah.
And then I was so stressed out by all of the quote unquote layering that was happening.
Yeah.
And those sounds like, granted in Ape Out they never changed, but like, I don't know. There's like 4 different sound effects maybe. There's the barriers you have to break through by going straight. There's the ones in the air. There's the left and right. I feel like there might be like 1 or 2 more. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like both the music in this game and the music in Ape Out, and to me, I wouldn't listen to either of them. The background or backing of this is, like I said, it's like industrial. It's like those war drums. There's a little bit of like horns, and it's very like ambient in a way where I feel like, at least in Ape Out, they were like, we're gonna have a backing track, and like in Ape Out too, the different worlds had different styles of jazz. So when you're in the office building, that style of jazz is going to be completely different, and it's going to break up the monotony when you're in the jungle or like that forest area. So this game, for whatever reason, they decided, well, we're going to have this one look, and we're going to have this same backing track throughout the game. And the only variation in it, again, is just the time signature that it's you're listening to it in. But like all the little tinks and clunks and thumps and everything that you're hearing are all going to be the same in 1.1 as they are in 8.16 or whatever. Which is, and I guess for you guys, or you, Dante, in particular, like to the game's detriment. Like, do you think that if it was, maybe not make it a better game, but you would be more interested in finishing it, I guess, if it... Because that doesn't seem like it solves the problem that you have with the game.
Yeah, my number one problem is it's repetitive in a way that, like, I don't think we've played a more repetitive game than this.
That's fair. I don't disagree with that at all.
And I guess repetitiveness is something that, people are fine with it. For me personally, though, it, like, can kind of irk me. And I think the repetitiveness on top of, like, the roadblocks I was running into specifically were like my biggest turnoffs. And then the music wasn't compelling me to stay on top of that.
Gotcha. That's fair. That's very valid.
That being said, I completely understand why certain people would like this game.
I can understand Alex liking it. I don't necessarily think this is the best music game I've ever played, but it was very fun. And I personally, the thing that I really, really enjoyed about it is for lack of a better word, hidden depth. Where like I was thinking you guys would have came in here and been like, this game was really easy and this, and I couldn't, but like instead it's like, which is completely fine. Like, oh, like I didn't particularly like how repetitive or how this game sounded, or I didn't really finish it or whatever. Just to throw it in, because I almost forgot, Trevor had said he enjoyed playing Thumper. The latter half actually felt more like a rhythm game than the front half, which I do agree with. He said, I wish there were more instances where you can get into a flow state over a longer period of time rather than the short, challenging levels. So that was his little add-on. There was, I was trying to read some of the Metacritic reviews. This game only has about 11 negative reviews. It has like an 8.1 on Metacritic. And it, for user and 85 for the critic reviews. But one of my favorite, I like reading the negative reviews. Tell me how close this sounds, or do you agree with this, Dante? It says boredom and disappointment. This person gave it a 3. Boredom and disappointment. I don't see why others, users or critics, give Thumper such a highly rated score. In the game, you play this gray space beetle cruising down a track. Granted, from an audio-visual perspective, the game is interesting and score points on that angle. Yet after 10 to 15 minutes, gameplay becomes excessively boring. Push buttons and drift around corners. Seems like the developers are influenced by F-Zero, so some credit for gameplay should be given there. However, all things considered, Thumper just becomes too boring too quickly.
I would have, I guess, fleshed out why it was boring, but that was pretty much verbatim what I was thinking in my head.
I just want to read. This person gave it a 6, and this will be the last thing I'm gonna read. Thumper's gameplay being described as one word, grueling. The word this person was like, I think they were in their feelings and also wanted you to know that they are cool. Thumper's gameplay can be described with one word, grueling. The word specifically packs a lot of punch because it is one of the difficulty settings in Shrek the Third on PS2. This is by far the most hardcore and frustrating video game in my entire library. It conveys the idea of rhythm violence exceptionally, but new concepts are constantly being introduced with every sub-level. Thus, the game becomes less about timing notes and more about memorizing when they'll appear. One specific sub-level on level 8 forced me to pull out my pen and paper in order to write down the exact timing so I could get an S rank. But with me being very skilled at rhythm games, player unfamiliar with the genre will struggle to keep up past level 3. Only if you are a rhythm god will you have a chance of fully completing this game, and even so, you should buy it on Steam because it's cheaper there.
Okay, 3 things about that review. 3 things about that review. I would have left out the Shrek part.
Right.
This is my editor. Like, you didn't need to bring up Shrek there. I don't think it is the hardest rhythm game because I have a problem calling it a rhythm game. And then, could you reread that pen and paper part?
It said, one specifically, so it says, this is a long sentence. It conveys the idea of rhythm violence exceptionally, but new concepts are constantly being introduced with every sub-level. Thus, the game becomes less about timing notes and more about memorizing when they'll appear. One specific sub-level in level 8 forced me to pull out my pen and paper in order to write down the exact timing so I could get an S rank, but with me being very skilled at rhythm games...
Yeah, okay, you can stop there. It was me being very skilled at... Nah, bro, you don't need to say that.
Only if you are a rhythm god will you have a chance of fully completing this game. So, I hate to break it to you, Dante.
I don't know.
Yeah, so...
I was so excited, too, because this is it's not meant to be a brag, but it is kind of a humble brag. I got a new TV that does the whole 120 hertz thing. I'm like, oh yeah, look at this Thumper at 120. It's gonna be so buttery smooth. How could I miss a corner ever?
And you missed all of them.
I missed all the corners.
Gotcha.
To the point where I'm like, maybe it's harder at 120 hertz. Maybe it's just too fast. Maybe the sense of speed is just too good.
Maybe. Well, I really, really dug this game. I really enjoyed the depth that it had. Like I said, they with the scoring system and everything, because there is when you beat, they have like the online leaderboard, so you can see where you sit amongst your friends worldwide. So those things are always pretty competitive, and this is one of those games where as soon as you beat the level, you can see where you rank amongst your friends and amongst your, everybody else has ever played this, and it's really cool to see that. There was little things that I noticed, like or like depth things where like the perfect turn, like I told you guys earlier, where that helps you get those hoops when they're after turns. There's another thing with the little stomp attack that you have, where when you do a stomp attack, when you can, it kind of like in Rock Band where you build that overdrive meter, there's a little it highlights a note further up in advance, and you get a huge score bonus when you hit that. You also, like, little things too, like you go faster the more things you hit, so like it behooves you to try to hit as much things as possible, because then you're just flying down the highway. What else? Those are the only ones I can think of. Like, I haven't played this game in like a couple of weeks now, but best believe I was in it when I was in it, and now I'm on the other side. Do you guys have anything else? Thumper, any questions, any comments, any last minute? No? Any complaints? Any more complaints?
No, not really. I mean, I think I kind of said what the game, but all in all, I mean, like, I liked it, long and drawn out.
You did finish it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you guys recommend this game to other people, or would you like?
No.
Okay. Damn.
Maybe I would say go watch a YouTube video to get an idea. Like, if you look at that and you're like, oh yeah, my interest is piqued, and I was like, I don't think I could recommend it to.
In good faith.
Yeah, no.
Save yourself.
Yeah, like if there was a, like, I'm gonna say demo version of it, but like if I could just get the first 2.5 worlds worth of levels, I would have gotten my fix and walked away somewhat satisfied.
I think I don't know. I think you definitely do need to see the end stuff though. Not like I think the end stuff is where the game, like, the rubber hits the road, kind of. Like, I don't think like it's just cool to have everything all together. Is what I'm trying to say. Because I feel
pretty
like
much this is the musical equivalent of the MMO dilemma. Oh, you just had to get through the first 90 hours of content.
No. Not saying that at all, because this game is not 90 hours long. But I think I agree with your criticism that the game ran a little long and repetitive. And I think the fix to that would have been for them to shorten it. But I think it is more fun in the back half of the game, because, like Trevor said, it does feel more like a rhythm game because you're doing more things. So
that's all fair, and I just want to, I guess, emphasize that my criticisms were not to explicitly say that this game is bad for everybody.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It was just bad for me.
Gotcha. So, Greg, great game, great experience?
I'd say good game.
Good game, good experience. All right. Dante,
I'm going to plead the fifth.
Really?
Yeah, I don't feel qualified to talk about this game. Maybe it broke me. I don't know.
So this is what it's like? So this is what you feel like when you pick Sekiro and Ninja Gaiden? This is what you feel like?
Maybe that's what you're feeling now. I don't know.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, man. I'll never do it again. I will say great game, pretty good experience. I enjoyed this game. It was very fun for me. I definitely think this is a game I would recommend to people. I wouldn't say like you need to buy the game. Like, you just come over to my crib, we can play it. I can show it to you.
Get some edibles.
Yeah.
I didn't say all that. I was just saying, like,
You literally did say all that.
No. I didn't say no, but what I'm saying is it was fun. I enjoyed it pre that too. Okay. Before that, I was already feeling the game. It was just, to heighten the experience. I was like, I want to go into Navarro mode. But yeah, that's Thumper, man. That's Thumper. Pretty short. Where can people find you at, Trevor? Not just playing. I had that written down. You can find Trevor at what is his Twitch? Lyric Unsung, yes, and all actually that's all his social stuff. I don't know if he's going to be streaming because I'm assuming he'll be playing a lot of
Baby Simulator.
Switch. Well, I was gonna say Switch stuff. Actually, he did tell me that his other daughter, because there's a game that we had talked about earlier, but his daughter had been playing Unpacking. She watched him play it, and she'd been wanting to play it, so he's been watching her play Unpacking. He says she throws everything on the bed. Where can people find you at, Greg?
You can find me on Twitter at Boombox Hero.
What you streaming?
Man, I haven't streamed in like 2 weeks, but it was just Street Fighter. I said I was gonna stream some Yakuza, so it'll probably be Street Fighter.
I've been doing the cat fights, betting on those, and they have a character that's dressed up, and she's just like, oh, is this the lore of the game? Like she has like the green and yellow like bikini thong situation. I think her name is like Francisca or something like that. But I was just like, oh, like this is. I guess Japan was going through a time, and they were like, "Listen, all brown girls look like this." So Street Fighter and maybe potentially some Yakuza. What about you, Dante? Where can people find you?
People can find me at twitch.tv/awakencloud, and I'm streaming, let's see, the big two right now. I guess three, really. Kenna Bridge of Spirits, Metroid Dread. I might be finishing that up tonight, potentially. And an indie game called Untitled, which is kind of like a spiritual successor to Hyper Light Drifter that I'm liking more than Hyper Light Drifter. Another game we covered on this podcast.
Speaking of games that we cover on this podcast, like I said, it's 2022. Beginning of this year, we started posting our annual rankings. So I know that this episode you may see it before this episode comes out, but we have included both this game, Thumper, and last month's game, No Straight Roads. But yeah, be on the lookout for those. I think so far Trevor's and Greg's has been posted. Mine will be probably posted tomorrow, and I need to get your list, Dante.
You disrespect Sekiro too much.
Hey, what? You're gonna disrespect Thumper, so so yeah. But be on the lookout for those. Those are always really fun to do. It's basically, like us recapping and basically not highlighting, but just we all have our own different tastes in games. So regardless of if you love Sekiro or it is your least favorite game of 2021, we respect everybody's opinions here. And and this is the opportunity for you to see how your tastes line up with ours. So yeah, hop on the Facebook and give it a check, and you can find it at facebook.com/misscheckpoints, and you can find me on Facebook at Potato Salad, and I've been playing a lot of Yakuza 0 lately. I'm prepping for next month. I had this past week off, and I've been playing that game heavy, so I will probably just be on Steam, just grinding away at that game. So hit me up. I had a couple people message me and said, "Yo, that game is really good." While I was playing it, they hit me up on Discord. I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'm feeling it." So,
it's kind of unfortunate for the people that are going to listen to it in January. But they actually, as of, I think, December 31st, removed Yakuza 0 and Yakuza 1 from Game Pass. So you will have to buy it if you want to get in.
Well, I mean, this is too late too, but there's been a Steam sale, and it ends on the 5th. So all of the games from the Yakuza series are on sale at the moment. But obviously, it'll be too late. If you're hearing this, it is too late. So yeah. Well, do you guys have any other things? All right. Well, with that, we're missed checkpoints and we're out. Peace.